Hello YouTube! It is your main man Michael from EAKCrewProductions, and today we're going to talk about Blackwings. And no, this is not a Blackwing deck profile. We are simply going to talk about the deck. Alright, so let's get into what I want to talk about. So I personally think Blackwings are a very viable choice as a deck for this upcoming format. Why do I believe that? Well, because Kaloot's at 3. Now you're going to ask, so Kaloot being at 3, that completely changes your opinion? Yes, but not completely, because you see, I've always thought Blackwings were somewhat viable. I just thought that players had gotten too lazy to take their skill and put it in a deck that is not considered tier and attempt to win with it. Instead, they've gone lazy route using Konami cookie cutter decks so that they can, get that top, where they drop a deck that maybe is very close to their heart, like Blackwings, and try to win with that. Now, however, because Kaloot is at 3, maybe some of those people will dig down into their hearts and pick the deck up again, and let's talk about some of the reasons why I think that's a possibility. And remember, this is not a deck profile, but I am going to talk about some of the cards. And you're more than happy to cop this deck if you want to. Blackwing Borer the Spear. Why is he such a good card? Well, it's because if there's another Blackwing on the field, he can become special summon. So it allows for instant field presence, superiority, easy exceeds if that's the way you feel like going. I personally would keep it out for the Kaloot drops. Secondly, it's a piercer. And it's one of the piercers that don't have to move to defense mode after it's attacked. And its attack is at 1,700. That's pretty good. Somebody sets down a Marshmallow or Spirit Reaper, you still get to do damage. Look at you. Great card. Alright, let's talk about Gale real quick. Obviously, Gale is at 1 and has to be at 1 and should never be at anything beyond 1. Because if you put it at 2 to 3, wow, then you'd really have some problem on your hands with Blackwings. You might want to stop playing Yu-Gi-Oh! But, well, Gale is the tuner of an easy tuner of the deck. It's searchable. It's got a decent amount of attack due to its effect, which is cut anything on the field in half forever. So he's pretty good, especially since he can do it every turn. Of course, he can only split one monster once. Next we have Kaloot, which in this deck is at 1, or I'm sorry, at 2, but once the new format comes around, we'll be at 3 because the card is absolutely nuts. You search it out with Whirlwind, and you have 3k beats just sitting there, scaring your opponent away from attacking them. I mean, you get to, it's like Lance, but you get to drop it on your opponent's turn from your hand. It's pretty superior to many cards out there in the format. Then we have this little guy, Daybreak. You guys are probably wondering why I even want to talk about him, but it's because he's a buff Vayu. His effect gets blocked by Shura if you special summon him, so his not being able to be synchro summoned when he's special summoned doesn't matter. Easy 8-star synchros, and he allows for easy 4-star exceeds. Shura, of course, being the next card of topic, which creates those plays and can even bring out your Gale, so you can cut another problem monster, or just go for a Black Rose and blow up the field, maybe in an Armor Master. Whatever you feel like. Sirocco, I think the card is still relevant, even though I don't think Vayu is very relevant. Sirocco, however, is that possible 2k first turn beat stick if you're going second, and perfect Whirlwind user, because he searches all of them. Then, of course, we have Zephyros the Elite. He's just a great card. He allows you to bounce your cards so that if you have a Whirlwind face down and then a chainable trap and you want to play your Heavy Storm from your hand, you can bounce your Whirlwind to your hand and use your Heavy Storm, wasting your one trap, which, if it is chainable, you chain it now. You lose nothing. Pretty good. Pretty good. Especially since Blackwings can special summon off of each other, so you could just bounce a Bora and then special summon the Bora back down. Tour Guide Engine in the deck, not really something I'm going to talk about. Dark Arm Dragon. That's what I want to talk about. One of the cards that you can actually run into this deck, and it is actually very positive, because you can get this guy off pretty easily if you draw him. And, well, he's an easy +3 if nothing happens. So, win. Whirlwind, it's at 1. If it was at 2, why would you not play Blackwings? You'd be silly not to. The card's phenomenal. I wish it stacked. It doesn't. Not much more I can say about it. Search Kalut. The ability for the deck to run Pot of Avarice, that's magnificent. It's a +1 card. I love going +1 all day. You have to run Lance in this deck. 2 to 3, nothing less. They're your extra Kaluts. Now, there's 2 cards I want to talk to you left, and that would be Delta Crow Anti-Reverse, and of course Icarus Attack. Let's talk about Icarus Attack first, because I feel like it's the card that is mained more over the other. Icarus Attack is your kind of advantage maker. I'm not going to say it's plus because it's destroyed 2 cards. I get rid of 2 cards, so there's no plus there. However, if I attack and you flip D-Prison, I can Icarus Attack and blow up 2 cards, you wasting 3, me wasting 2. That's a plus. Or, if I have a Blackwing that you would have just beat over with the monster you summoned, I can now destroy it and one of your back rows, and even though I have not gone plus, I would have lost my monster. So it's a hypothetical plus. So, great card. Ren at 2 to 3. I like 3 because I feel like blowing up 2 cards is amazing, even though Starlight Road is a card. Now, let's talk about one of my favorite cards, and yet controversial. Delta Crow Anti-Reverse. Why is this a controversial card? Well, because you have to have board presence to even activate it, and it's a trap that you have to set. But I like the card because on the rare occasion that you have 3 Blackwings, you can play it from your hand. And anytime you can play a trap from your hand, well, that's just awesome. But that's not really the reason. The reason is because it's like an extra heavy storm if you go first. Play 1 Bora the Spear with Kalut in hand. Play back row and Delta Crow. Opponent goes. They either try to beat over your monster and die to the Kalut in your hand, or they maybe just summon a monster, set a monster, and they're going to set at least 1 to 2 back row. Well, of course more. It could be up to 3. You set 2, so they're not very scared of back row Heavy Storm. So they set all those cards, and then on their end phase, you Delta Crow the living hell out of them, and they can't chain anything because they just set them all. The most satisfying thing is when you first turn Delta Crow, and they set 4 because they had Starlight Road, but you blow it up and they can't chain it because they just set it. Anyways, that's my deck detective sort of thing for Blackwings and why I believe they're relevant due to key cards, most of them being the Blackwing monsters themselves, which are really, to me, phenomenal cards and a phenomenal archetype. I play it on DN quite often, and I win 95% of my matches. That's your main man, Mike, from EAKCrewProductions. Check out the deck. I'll see you guys later. Peace.